do this, the policies of Riyadh and Sana'a are about as close as I ever remember them being right now. And secondly, I understand that Abu Dhabi has allocated $650 million, which is not small change, for development programs, and more important, instead of just shoveling the money over to the central government, they've actually picked, I think, 18 projects and sent 18 UAE project directors to work with Yemeni authorities on that. Isn't this a case where we need to stop thinking about us being in partnership with the Yemeni government and think in terms of us being part of a coalition which includes countries that are far better able than we are, both by available resources and by the fact that they will appear less intrusive to Yemenis and other Arabs than we will.
Can you remember that question?
Yeah.
We'll take one more.
Some wag called Yemen the first narco republic. I wonder if we couldn't get better about reconstruction and aid efforts by using Indonesian contractors, Malaysian contractors, Turkish contractors, Nigerian contractors, gringos who aren't, gringos aren't welcome. Muslims might be. My question is, the Houthi Rebellion, to what degree is that supported by Iran? Overtly or covertly, if you can say.
Okay.
We'll leave it at that. Whoever would like to. David, you want to take a stab?
On the last one, I haven't seen, I'm not in government now, I haven't seen any convincing evidence that the Iranians are involved in the Houthi Rebellion, but, it's quite possible that it could pick up because they resent Saudi Arabia's role, and we've already had a response from Ahmadinejad. Not so easy to get there for the Iranians, and although Zaydism, I think, is changing, it traditionally had relatively little in common with Twelver Shia Islam, and much more in common with the Sunnis in Iraq. So the first one, your first point I agree with entirely, and I think to a degree I was trying to say that. I think it's essential that we work together with them, but it doesn't mean that we have to let them take the lead either. And it's good that they're doing that. To some degree, it's a mixed blessing. UAE has always, I think, been pretty sympathetic to Yemen because Sheikh Zayed traced his ancestry to the
new
Yemenis.
Marib Dam was built by Sheikh Zayed.
He built, and even I remember when we first went there in '73, they sent over a bunch of drill rigs. We were drilling, and we provided the drill riggers, and we put the USAID sign and the Abu Dhabi Development Fund sign on the same trucks and went around. That's clearly the way to go. Sorry, I'm skipping around a little bit.
So those were the two.
Yeah, I must say, I think Yemenis are accustomed to foreign contractors, and they were happy in the 70s and 80s, I think, that they got so much attention from the development community. But they fell out of favor because of all the problems they found, and corruption, I think, was a particular problem as well. Europeans and others coming in, I don't think creates a problem. I agree entirely. A massive U.S. presence, military or civilian, would be a huge mistake, and one I really don't think we're going to make. But Yemenis are accustomed. I think the foreign minister said he needs $4 billion a year for development, and I don't think he minds it. I would worry a little about Nigerians coming to work and giving them contracts.
Part of that anti-Al-Qaeda aid package is going to go against the Houthis, too.
Yeah, yes, I suspect it will, sure, and on the military side. I think ever since Vietnam, we've been very careful about thinking about alternative governments with very good reason. We thought about that as well in Iraq, I think. If there are huge problems facing the president, I'm not sure there's anybody else who could do any better. So I think one should be pretty careful on that issue.
Yeah, I think I'll start again. It's good to see you. The questions on the Houthis and Iran. It's clear and there are a couple in the room who know this issue better than I do, that certainly the genesis of the issue had nothing to do with Iran whatsoever. It was basically a political fight in the parliament in Sana'a, in which the party to which the al-Houthis belonged, a fringe part of it, decided that they were going to table a measure in the parliament calling for the return of the imamate to Yemen and declaring Ali Abdullah Saleh's illegitimacy as the ruler of Yemen because he was not descended from the Prophet. Needless to say, the president and his party were not pleased. And these guys were tossed out of parliament, and rather than having some kind of a political negotiation, they headed back up into the hills in Sada, and in 2004 started shooting at people. And there was no Iran. Some of them, some of the Zaydis who are interested in the Twelver philosophy, and this is as far as I know, went to Iran and studied in Iran, a few of them. There may be some money coming out of private institutions in Iran in the beginning. Whether there is now, I don't know. When you talk about Iranian support, you have to first define which Iran. Who are you talking about? I do not think there is much Iranian support, and I think it was a mistake by Ali Abdullah Saleh, by the government, to try to persuade us and others that this was Iranian-backed, thinking that that would get our attention and our support in fighting them. Yes, some of the equipment, some of the training that we're doing there will be used and has been used in the north. But I still think this is internal, and that Iran, other than liking to stick Saudi Arabia as Ahmadinejad did, really doesn't have an involvement in it. The GCC question, you're right on, and you know this issue well, David. They have to take the lead. I think Ambassador Newman noted that it's a double-edged sword with some of them, certainly with the Saudis. Concern over an increase in Salafi influences as more Saudis come in. There's a lot of Saudi money coming in now outside of the government, private investment in Mukalla. If anybody's been to Mukalla in the last couple of years, there are new buildings everywhere, most of them empty. Office buildings, apartment buildings, private houses, all of them built by private Saudis. There's a lot of money coming into the Hadramaut, most of the Saudis. Many Saudis, of course the Yemenis will claim all Saudis, originated in the Hadramaut or in there. Saudis disagree a little, but Osama bin Laden's family being one of the more prominent ones who originated in the Hadramaut and then emigrated to Saudi Arabia. So there's a lot of that money, private money, coming back as well. When I was in 2006, we had a donors conference in London, $500 million pledged, the great majority of it from Saudi Arabia, the Emirates, and Kuwait. The Emirates have obviously upped the ante since then. They do have some capacity, and I think there's less sensitivity in Yemen to Emiratis and their contractors, whoever they might be. We would like to see these contracts going to Yemeni firms, employing more Yemenis. Real problem we have with contractors, not just in Yemen, in Iraq, I saw this every day, is that contractors come in to do a big project and they hire Indians and Pakistanis and Bangladeshis to come in and do the work when there are tens of thousands of Yemenis who need jobs. So I think the mutual suspicion is there. There are issues, but I do think the GCC is stepping up, and that we should focus on what we do best as well. And plus, note to the American taxpayers in the audience that I don't know who's going to pay for this. There was always attention paid to Yemen, always. When I was there, before then, Abu Zaid was there every month. The security guys, military guys paid attention, and they knew we had to do more. But when I asked for more, he's got Afghanistan, Iraq,